So after we've done informed consent and we've looked at their health and done some health screening and decide whether they need medical clearance, the next thing we want to look at is lifestyle factors. We want to make sure that their lifestyle is not working against us, right? We are spending 30 minutes to 60 minutes with a client a week is not going to counteract the rest of the time if they are smoking and being sedentary and eating a high sugar, fat, sodium diet. So we've got to talk to them about what they're doing outside of their time with us to get the most benefits. So if they mention that they're using tobacco products, we want to encourage them to start a smoking cessation or tobacco cessation program. And the time for this guidance can be the beginning of the program as you intake, and can also be like when they're warming up or stretching. If they're walking on the treadmill, maybe a good time for you to have some of these conversations like, hey, how's your smoking cessation going? How's your diet been lately? And so that's a good time to talk to them. I want to caution you with diet advice that you want to stay really general. As exercise professionals, and we'll talk about this more later, it is not our job and it is not within our scope of practice to prescribe specific diets. So you're never going to talk to your client and say like, hey, you should try keto, or hey, you should try the Mediterranean diet. That is not in our scope of practice. That is not in our set of skills. And so if you do that and a client goes and gets on the Mediterranean diet because you said so, and they have an adverse health event because that wasn't a good diet for them, you are liable, and they could sue you, and you could lose your job and potentially even your certification. So we want to stay really general. So you can encourage them like, hey, we should be eating less sugar, avoid desserts, keep desserts special, eat less fat, eat less sodium. You can talk to them about how to figure out what an appropriate calorie intake is. If they come in and they want a weight loss program, hey, 300 to 500 calorie deficit is appropriate for that. And that's all things that they could pull off of the USDA website themselves, right? Like, you know where it is and you have it memorized, so it's more convenient for you to give that to them, but they could go find that themselves, right? That's what you want to stay in, that kind of information. And if you have somebody that's showing signs of depression, anxiety, and self-harm, you definitely want to refer them to other professionals. And the next thing we're going to do is help our clients make goals. What do they want to accomplish with this program, and even outside of the program if we're changing lifestyle as well? We want those goals to be specific and measurable. The SMART format helps you to do that. And so your goals should be specific, measurable. You want it to be an action, so something that can actually be accomplished. You want it to be realistic, and you want to set a time frame. When is this goal going to be accomplished? You don't want to leave it open forever, because doing so leaves a loophole. So for example, I often see times people write goals like exercise more. Well, if I didn't exercise at all yesterday and I did a squat today, I have technically met my goal. I exercised more because one squat is more than 0 squats. But that's probably not my intention, right? So the more specific we can be, the more, and we give a time frame, the more likely we're going to do what we intended to do. We also just want to, setting a time frame helps us to make sure we accomplish that goal and helps us stay motivated. If we say, I want to run a 5K eventually, well, is eventually like this year, next year, 10 years from now? If you're constantly putting it off because you never set a time frame, you're not going to meet that goal. Okay, so we want to try to incorporate that. So for example, a client comes in and says, hey, I want to build some muscle tone. Then, okay, we've got a general action that we want to do. it's realistic that we want to build muscle tone. We don't have a time frame. When are we going to accomplish this by? And it's not specific and measurable. How much muscle tone do you want to build? How much is appropriate, and how much would be what you wanted to accomplish? How much would you be satisfied with? So we want to help them make that more specific and measurable and give it a time frame. And so it may start to look something like this. I want to increase lean mass by 5%. This is easy enough to measure with a bilateral impedance device, and we've given a time frame in 4 weeks. And this is a realistic, 5% is realistic within 4 weeks. Okay, let's try another one. So we have somebody that says, I want to go to the gym 3 times a week. Okay, they go to the gym, and you know this happens all the time, right? Like Planet Fitness has donuts. People go to the gym, they eat their donut, and then they leave. They went to the gym. Was that their intention to go to the gym to eat donuts, or was it their intention to go exercise? So we can help them be a lot more specific about that by saying we're going to exercise. We may exercise at the gym, but what our goal is to exercise, right? So make that very clear. No loopholes. Okay, so again, the health screening is an intentional step, and not doing so is a liability. Never assume that your client is healthy just by looking at them or just because they are or were an athlete at some point. Always do health screening on all of your clients and go through that process. And I hope this helped you to think about the process of client intake.